I Just Can't Get Enough. I heard that for the first time, 2005, Bora Bora, and I can still feel it now. And when I listened to it yesterday on YouTube, I goosebumps. Still to this day.
Oh, it came back out last year.
Yes, I do.
Tyrone and Chris, who owned Godskitchen at the time, came up and said, "Oh mate, we want this in our club. We're moving from the Sanctuary. We want to do a house night, but we don't know anything about this music. Will you come and help us start the night up?" Babooshka, it was called. We struggled to get a name, to be honest with you. We just couldn't think of a name. So I was booking for the house night, like Frankie Knuckles, Eric Murillo, Beanie Martini, Joe Negro, Eric Murillo, David Morales, everyone you could think of. Anyway, so we went to Liverpool and we went into this warehouse and it was proper dodge. As soon as you went for the door, someone said, "Do you want this? Do you want that?" Like 14-year-old kid. And you were like, "Where have I come to?" Have you seen that video on the internet of Enjoy Anthem at
Yes.
Park?
Yes. Of course, they're very famous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I walked in and it could have been that night. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And that was it. I was addicted. It was by chance that Simon was playing before him and played the last record. And if he hadn't, he may never have got signed.
When I was going through everything, organising some of the questions, I had like a massive flashback to 2005 with the track that I Just Can't Get Enough. I first ever heard that DJ G, I think, or someone like that, dropped it at Bora Bora.
Gee, flipping heck, that's a blast from the past.
Well, if you go flick back in some of my podcasts, I've got he was the second podcast I ever did. It was the entire story about Bora Bora, and 2005 was a really good year. I think he left 2006, 2007, but that year was really big for us. We started Shipwreck, the boat party then, and we did a lot of the after parties, like at Space and swingers clubs and all these crazy places that year. And that tune that you made then was like essential to that era. So I've got a group called Ibiza Worker 2000 to 2010, and this will identify very much with those people. So what made you fall in love with dance music? How did you get into it?
First of all, thanks for having me. Basically, I didn't like dance music at first. When it first came out, I lived in Bolton and all my mates were going to raves, but they were all getting on it. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to go to that. I don't like it." And I wasn't feeling it. So it was like a year into it, really. The raves were still happening. And my friend was like, it was Saturday night, and he said, come to Quadrant Park, where there's this new club in Liverpool in Bootle. And I was like, I don't know how old I was. I must have been 18, possibly 17. And he was driving, and I was like, "No, I'm not coming. Like, just come on, you'll enjoy it." So I thought, "I'll go. I've got nothing better to do." And I was kind of into soul and funk, but I also like rock music. So I wasn't into dance music. And unless you were going to the clubs, you never really... Yeah, I think one of the earliest records was like Electribe 101, which I quite liked. And Everything Starts with an E, which is Easy Posse. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
They were like the first things that if you weren't into it, you kind of heard on the radio or something.
I wasn't into it either.
No.
At all.
And anyway, so we went to Liverpool and we went into this warehouse and it was proper dodge. The fellas, like in Bootle, like these... It was proper it was all Scousers, obviously. And then went into the doors. There was this 14. As soon as you went for the door, someone said, "Do you want this? Do you want that?" Like 14-year-old kid. And you were like, "Where have I come to?" And then we'd had a couple of drinks by this time. Have you seen that video on the internet of Enjoy Anthem at
Yes.
Park?
Yes. Of course, they're very famous. Yeah.
Yeah. And I walked in. And it could have been that night.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Anyway, a few more drinks, whatever. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing."
Yeah.
And I came out And I don't know what year it was. I felt like I was a bit late to the house music party, but I obviously wasn't. It was just the beginning. And there was an after party. And in the after party, KLF were playing. Yeah, and this was before they brought out any of their big records.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. The night after, I went to the Hacienda. Yeah. And that was it. I was addicted. And I fell in love with it. And it wasn't just like one style. So I was into the rave stuff, your Enjoy Anthem, what we call hardcore, which is far from hardcore.
Isn't it?
Dream
Yeah.
Frequency, all that kind of stuff. And then I was also into the American stuff as well. So I kind of went all over the place and all the different clubs and just got into it. I fell in love with it. That was it. No more anything else.
Because you're from Manchester.
Yes.
What part of Manchester, by chance?
Well, I'm from Bolton, but I lived in Bolton
Okay.
time, so I went to school in Bolton. So we were going to like raves in Bacup or Blackburn and stuff like that.
This is why the crossover with Rob Tezera's coming in a little bit here, because
me and Rob are good mates and we've made records together.
Yeah, no, because he was talking about in his first pod about all the stuff that he did up there, because he'd moved from London and then went up and did all those Manchester raves. Then he moved to Leeds and then Blackburn and all of this stuff.
Well, as far as I know, Blackburn was the first Bacup, which is next to Blackburn. They were the first places where these raves happened. Do you know what I mean? And they were unbelievable because you never heard them before, and it was a different vibe. And people say it's never the same. It's not the same for a couple of reasons. Is people on different kinds of drugs nowadays? First of all. Second of all, and most importantly, I remember going to, I think it was I don't know where it was, and I heard orbital chime, right? And I heard these synthesizer sounds I'd never heard before. Ding a ding, 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 ding. And I was like, what the hell is this music? Right. And for quite a few years you felt like that. When you heard the Hoover sound from Charlie Prodigy, you were like, what is this sound?
Yeah, it was
I remember
so
going
fresh.
to a rave in London called Utopia.
I remember it.
And Prodigy were on before the record came out. And that Charlie sound came out, and it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And obviously, we'd had a few, so it was like, it was just all exaggerated. It was just amazing.
That's what Graham Gold was saying, exactly the same thing the other day. It was so new and it was so fresh, and the combination of, he didn't say this, but in my opinion, the combination of this brand new drug and this brand new music, it was just like the perfect storm. And it was like, and it just exploded and exploded. I think nowadays it's not unique anymore. It goes off in different direction and tangents, but it's certainly not new. This has been going for like 35 years. So what about DJing? How did you get into that side of things?
Well, just going to them parties and then going to a friend of mine, Dominic Bentley. His mum and dad had a place in Mallorca, so this big house in Bolton, right? And downstairs they had this club, and he was a DJ, and he was really good. So we'd go back to his and just practice on the decks, and we became friends, and just practicing. And it was I love stuff like So the time I started DJing was like everybody all over the world, risque, but also a lot of the early DMC stuff, Stress, early Michael Gray stuff, what were they called? The Hustlers. What were they called? What's it called, Michael Gray? Something Hustlers, something Town Hustlers. Anyway, all that kind of stuff, right? So a lot of like kind of piano rave stuff. I've still got some of the vinyl left, like Young MC and JJ Tribute, and I played a bit of everything really.
Awesome.
I liked the ravey stuff, but even them days, the hardcore stuff had vocals in it. Like Dream Frequency and all that kind of stuff. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And JJ Tribute and all that kind of stuff.
I love my hardcore. Well, it's called, well, I don't even know what we called it back then. It was rave, wasn't it? Acid and then rave.
So I was doing that, and I had a friend who wasn't into it, but his mate was opening a club in South Manchester. So he said, come along. I was a paramedic at the time. I was training to be, but I was still a paramedic. And I was out partying though, So just DJing. And then I went over and I always put the record box in the back of the car just in case, right? And he said, "Oh yeah, we'll get you on, we'll get you on." And I was like, "Oh," and luckily, for me, do you know Guy Williams?
Do you know what? I don't know Guy, but the name is very familiar because
Yeah, yeah,
he does a lot of stuff over in Ibiza, doesn't he?
yeah. He's got the Flash, which is I think
Yes, of course.
is
Yeah.
like the gay
I don't
night.
think we've actually met, but he's very, very familiar name. Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. I love him. He's a good friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for years. So he was in a duo called Planet Janet, and they didn't turn up to this gig. So they said, "You go on," right? And I'm quite sure the mixing wasn't brilliant, but I was just playing tunes that I love. So Risque and a JJ Tribute, and then a bit of like kind of hacienda vocal house, and I can't remember what I played, but I rocked it. And then I got a residency at this club, and then there was a club called Peruvian, which was looked down upon by you hardcore clubbers.
Mm.
And don't forget, I've been clubbing for quite a while
Yeah.
now, a few years. This is probably 95. So I've been raving for a few years, it's probably 5-6 years in. And I've been DJing and practicing, and I wasn't great, to be quite honest with you. And then this club opened called Peruvian, where like it was in South Manchester, which is like the posh area, as we called it. And like Beckham and Giggsy and all them lot were in there famously. And
Okay.
there was an incident with Giggsy and Beckham once, or one of them, and it was in the front of the press, and we were queues outside for years, and we were just playing like old Strictly Rhythm stuff,
Yeah.
uplifting, uh, you know, the big piano-y stuff, because it was a piano-y stuff. It wasn't like funky house at that time. It was, records like, Free, I guess, towards the end by Ultinate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, deep dishy kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and then we started going to Ibiza then and picking up records and bringing them back. And we were playing stuff like, there was almost a trancey stuff that was big as well. Do you know what I mean? There was no, as long as it made you dance, we played it.
Yeah, you could play pretty much multiple genres, couldn't you? Back then. So, I remember when I was very much into my hardcore drum and bass, and then I found house music, and it was purely by accident. Someone took me to a house club in London, and my friends who were into drum and bass, kind of like, because I turned to the dark side, they kind of looked down at me like, "Oh, you're into like house music now, are you?" And I was just like, "Oh God," but I still have a passion for both. But I just fell in love with the whole clubbing environment of going back to the same place every week. You have a family of friends there, and I still speak to them 30 years later.
Yeah, I
Which
mean, it's
is,
funny you say that, because first gig I did at Ministry of Sound, and I don't think I just can't get enough by this time. I hadn't, no. I was to release a Soulful House.
yeah.
Right. So I got a spot and I was playing. I think it was for I've been Defected. Or was it? No, it wasn't. I did play there for Defected, but I was playing in the bar, yeah, and then they were playing drum and bass in the club. And every time I played there, all I did was on a Saturday night, because at that time, Saturday night was, I think it was Saturday, the drum and bass was in the main room, which is now the box. And I'd go play in there and just go in and listen to drum and bass in the box, because in Manchester, we couldn't go to drum and bass clubs because it was rough.
Yeah, it did have that edge in London. Some of the places like Roast and places like that, I wouldn't go to. I would go to some of them. I mean, but some of like the Jungle Fevers, and I'd kind of get a bit of a wide berth. But I was going to the raves where it was both genres, hardcore and the drum and
Yeah,
bass was represented, like
yeah,
the World Dances, the Dreamscapes, and things like
yeah.
that.
And
I was more comfortable there.
I think it's totally different now as well, because like my stepson, and yeah, like it's drum and bass clubs and garage clubs, which were, there was so many stories and bad things that happened in Manchester, that it's now everywhere. So everyone, and I love that music. Do you know what I mean? I love the culture.
Mm.
And now it feels like it's for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wanted to speak to you today because we have a very special event coming up in Ibiza on the 27th of September, where Godskitchen comes back to Ibiza. And I'm speaking to a few of the guys involved with that. And obviously, you were involved with Godskitchen. How did that first begin? How did that connection first start with Gods?
Okay. So I was running I was running a club in Manchester, and this is pre I Just Can't Get Enough. And it was just full of girls, and we were getting towards funky house then, you know what I mean? Like, it was playing all that kind of Joey Negro stuff, Mellow stuff, Any Martini, Subliminal, Defected, all that kind of stuff. Like Michael Gray used to come play for us, Roger Sanchez played for us. Tyrone and Chris, who owned Godskitchen at the time, came up and said, oh mate, we want this in our club. We're moving from the Sanctuary or the Institute, whichever it was, and we're building a club around the corner, but we want to do a house night, but we don't know anything about this music. Will you come and help us start the night up? So I said yes. So I went down, met up with them. We were Babooshka, it was called. We struggled to get a name, to be honest with you. We just couldn't think of a name. But then I was doing all the bookings. So I was booking like for the house night, like Frankie Knuckles, Eric Murillo, Beanie Martini, Joe Negro, Eric Murillo, David Morales, everyone you could think of. Then their partner came in. A new partner came in, and he really kind of took it to the next level. And then we opened there, and I was a resident DJ there. I was playing there. I was doing all the bookings, but I was doing it based upon what I felt the people would want. Do you know what I mean? So I went down to Birmingham. I was playing Birmingham a few times for like Money Pennies and a few other people and stuff like that. And I realised the people of Birmingham wanted this vocal stuff. So I brought it in, and I was booking all these people, and it was packed and it was rammed. And I was playing like deep house, so like kind of naked music stuff earlier on and warming up for people. So I was just warming up all the time. So I became really built quite good relationships with people.
You sound like you're quite musical. You've got some musicality in you, some natural musicality. Do you play any instruments at all?
I don't play instruments. I can program a bit of music. I was actually told that I could never do music.
Well, you really? You sound like completely the opposite to me, because I speak to a lot of people who just haven't got like the depth that you're talking in taste.
I'm 30 years in.
Yeah,
at that point, and at that point, see, basically what happened at school, I wanted to learn piano, right? And I was doing school discos, right? And the nun told me that I was tone deaf, because did this test where it was like low key, high key, and I got it wrong. But the thing is, I had passion. You know what I mean? And it's one thing I've learned as I've got older is it doesn't matter how clever you are. If you have passion and you put it into your work, you'll be fantastic at whatever you do.
Yeah.
It's not work, is it?
It's not.
So anyway, I used to go to the record shops in Manchester, into like Eastern Bloc, and this guy called Big Danny, Andy Daniels, not Defected Andy Daniels, you said, do you want to come to the studio? And I believed that I couldn't do it. I couldn't believe that I couldn't do it. I believe I didn't have a clue.
And that was from the comment that you got from all the way back. Yeah, yeah.
Which is why you should always think about how you speak.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I'm very careful around my kids.
Yeah.
I say you can do anything you want. You know, because I was told similar things when I was little, and it travels with you, doesn't it? Things like that.
Of course. And like my son told him, do you do whatever you want to do? Even if you become a cleaner and you're passionate at it and you do amazing at it, things will grow and things will happen and you'll be successful.
Absolutely.
No matter what. Do you know what I mean? And he's going to be a plastic surgeon.
No way.
Yeah. So basically, I'd go into the record shops in Manchester, and do want to come in. I say no. Then one day, Andy said, "Come on, I'll let you have a day in for free." And I went in, and I just got the bug, and I bought the computer, and I just every minute of the day that I had, because I was doing shifts as a paramedic, I was learning how to make music, and the money I was earning from DJing in Manchester, Perugia, the money from my paramedics was just going straight into going back in the studio and learning. Because in them days, we didn't have YouTube.
I remember very, very well. I went to college, did one of the very first School of Audio Engineering dance music courses, and it was all hardware, and it wasn't easy to learn, and it was just like you didn't really have any reference, and it was just like you're learning on the job, and it was all the wires and everything, and it drove me mad in the end. I quit. I couldn't handle it.
I remember going in and having an S1000.
That's it.
Sample up, and like, oh, glad this guy's going up. You have to keep doing it.
Oh, it was just so annoying. I was just like, I'm never going to get this.
Yeah.
That's all. And we had set times that we could be in the studio, and then when you'd finished your hour or your 2 hours, you had to leave, and then all the settings would be changed, and you had to come back in, and just like, and I was trying to get loans out from the bank to get a studio, hardware studio at the time, and then I got refused for that, and then I went on holiday to Ibiza and never come back. So that I ended up, so that kind of put the end to my DJing and production career, because literally within a year I went straight into promoting events within Ibiza because I was doing that so much within London. So sorry, please continue about your production and
Yeah. So I was going into studios in Manchester, and I had a couple of soulful house records that did really good. And then we had Babooshka, which was the Godskitchen thing. So I was running that, and then Joey Negro, Dave Lee was playing, and I got on with everyone and got on with him and his driver. So his driver said, "Oh, come down and we'll go to the studio." And Dave said, "Come down to the studio in London." We used that because they had an engineer at the time, Hey Boy, and I went down to their studio in London, and me and his driver made our first track together. It got signed, so we got signed to Slip and Slide, and that was Mark Knight.
no way.
Yeah. So then he started.
I'm sorry, Mark Knight was the driver.
Yeah. So Mark Knight was his driver, but he had a few gigs at Ministry of Sound, so he was doing a bit of a residency there. And I was resident at Babooshka Godskitchen, and we called it The Residence featuring Joy, and it was on Slip and Slide, and it was like, wow, this is a start. And then I realised that the level of the engineers in London compared to the level of the engineers in Manchester was different. And the engineers in London, like K-Boy was doing all Joey Negros, doing a few different people's. So I was driving them down to London every single week and learning from them. And then I moved on. Mark was one of my best mates, and he was living in London at the time, and then we moved to Maidstone. His dad had gotten together. Stuart was a postman and said, "Listen, instead of at this point, I just can't get enough." And Mark had Strings of Life, and his dad went, "Come on, stop giving everybody else your records. Yeah, you should be doing it yourself." His dad's a very clever marketing person. "Why don't you start your own record label up? Yeah, get Stuart involved, because he's better than what he's doing there." And they had a big tool garage, like tool shed.
Yeah, I've kind of heard some of this.
I was there that day.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you. Like Mark was one of my best mates. Like I'd
No idea.
at his house all the time, and we'd make records together. And then Kevin had come down, and yeah. Like I remember the day when Mark and I went to Ibiza, and we went to DC10, and I remember it was like the Slightly Electro days, and Mark just went, "I'm never making vocal house again." And he changed and went, "Take it." And he's back making vocal house now.
Gone full circle.
Yeah.
With Godskitchen, it exploded in a very short amount of time. Then Babooshka come in. I suppose that was when it was at Code and Air. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, what was it called first? Code. It was Code first, wasn't
Air.
it? Yeah.
Air. And then it went to Code. So what was it? What was making it stand out?
Well, I played at the Institute first for them. Was it called the Institute or Sanctuary?
Sanctuary, yeah.
The Sanctuary.
Digbeth Institute.
Yeah, and that's it, yeah. And I did Godskitchen a couple of times leading up. I remember warming up on Eek and doing a live stream to Ibiza or something with Godskitchen. And then I used to play Godskitchen in Ibiza, but I played the Terrace.
Yeah.
So they were good, really good days. Like Tyrone and Chris, who started Godskitchens, were really good friends of mine. And you had Fergie, who's amazing, and you had Al. Is it
Al? I'm not too sure.
They were residents.
Oh, AJ.
Yeah, AJ.
Yeah. AJ, Paul Thomas.
Yeah.
Mickey Slim.
Love him. Yeah.
There's a fair few more. I should know them off the top of my head, but I've had Paul and AJ on the podcast, and
I didn't see them a lot because they were obviously a different night. But it was just me running it, so I brought in my mate Simon Forestiero. He did the upstairs room, and like to this day he's a legend with it all. Like I was with Mark Gillespie at Paul Rice's 50th, 40th, 50th. Recently, and he was going, "Oh, Sam Forestiero, love him," and he was talking about the funky room upstairs, the other room upstairs,
So you'll be seeing
Um,
all of those in Ibiza, won't you? Because they'll all be
yeah,
there.
yeah.
What made it such a great super brand?
It was just the days. The trance was really, really good. And I will go to say that some of the clubs that started off unbelievable was because it the promoters were just party people and with everyone, and everyone felt like they know them. They didn't feel like Tyrone and Chris were just mental.
Yeah.
I mean, they were absolutely bonkers, right? And it was a bonkers scene, and everyone loved them. And I remember going to Miami with Tyrone and Tall Paul, and it was amazing. It was just bonkers. They were bonkers. I remember Tyrone had a Rolex on his hand, and Paul going, "Is that real?" "Yeah, of course it's real. Of course it's real." And he's going, "You're a gypsy." So they got him. They pinned him down. They got his watch. They said, "Well, we'll see you now." And they chucked it in the pool, and it wasn't. And it was just like they were crackers. And they were just great days. And we were all young. Nobody had kids. Nobody had responsibilities. We're all making a bit of till from being in this scene where we just went out and had a good time. And then it went a bit more corporate when Neil got involved. And I think it changed. I think it became a brand as a put more less than an event. Do you know what I mean? So I was booking
Yeah, I
DJs.
get what you mean.
I was booking DJs based upon what I thought people wanted and what I loved music. And as a DJ I was doing quite a few gigs around at that point. I was booking what I thought was right. And then it got a little bit, I kind of, a bit negative. I kind of was pushed back a little bit, and other people started doing the bookings, but they were doing the bookings based upon Mixmag and lineups in Mixmag and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like that's when Babooshka went a bit hard. It was never about that. And I think that's when it started to go down a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Where there was plenty of people. The people were going to Babooshka, not just for the DJs. Of course, it was busy when you had Eric Murillo on. Of course, it was busy with the people, but you had the music, and then it started going a bit harder, and those people just weren't into it. They just
Yeah.
weren't. The Birmingham people love a bit of soul and funk,
Mm.
and it was. I think it was the party. It was a party.
In what way was it going harder? What sort of sound?
Well, they were booking people which I loved, like Junior Sanchez and a bit of that, or more instead of the
Bit more
subliminal sound.
pumping type
Yeah, a
of,
bit more
yeah.
pumping.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Because AJ was saying to me that it was never a trance brand originally. It played a little bit of everything, but it just come through in that trance era, and it's got a massive trance following. But it's also had a very important foundation in house as well. That's why I'm speaking to you today. And that's why obviously the terrace was so important to us for the Amnesia. And the great thing about the Amnesia show coming up, it's a Saturday. And in Ibiza, there's lots of house heads over on a Saturday. So Nick's been quite careful on how he went about booking that, because we could have gone in a few directions. But he definitely thought that was going to be the right style. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I know it's going to be busy. And it's going to be completely different from the main room, because the main room, we've got Eddie back, Fergie, so, and I'm going to look forward to the real contrast of the
Yeah,
club. So
yeah,
you played in Ibiza, obviously,
yes,
at Amnesia,
yeah,
for Gods, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and you just played the terrace, I take it, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I did play in the main. I think I warmed up in the main room once because somebody didn't turn up. But like the Godskitchen music wasn't my music. I loved it, but I was a house head.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I was into all sorts of music, but I was very much a housey. I went actually more into the harder house world, and then the trance I kind of got into in Ibiza. But as I said to you before the podcast, when I was going through some of your stuff before, because we arranged this quite last minute, I just can't get enough. I heard that for the first time, 2005, Bora Bora, and I can still feel it now. And when I listened to it yesterday on YouTube, I goosebumps. Still to this day.
Oh, it came back out last year.
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you just the story behind it, because it was played all over, and it still is played all over. But I couldn't believe it yesterday. I had goosebumps for the first time in ages. So yeah, thank you for that. It brought back. I love doing these because it brings back a lot of memories.
Well, the story about that record is we made it in I think 2003 or 2004, and I'd had a couple of records, like 2 or 3 records on Subliminal already. So I was winning Babooshka, I was in with Eric, and everything was going really good. And I did a record called Whatever You Dream with Angie Brown, and the dub just, a lot of people played it. And I did a record called The Release of Pressure, which did really well as well. And so I had my own label called J Funk, okay, and then it was just vinyl. It was all vinyl in them days, no digital. And it was flying off the label. Like, the vinyl was doing really good. And one of my good friends, Oliver Lang, who's within Ibiza actually this weekend, the vinyl was doing really well, and the vinyl only had the chorus in it. Yeah. And we made it, and I pressed it up, and I sent it to Eric 3 times, and he was just like, he'd never listened to it. I can't remember how we sent it in them days. We must have uploaded it somehow or whatever, or posted
Or a recorded delivery.
Yeah.
Special delivery.
Yeah, it was CD era, but we weren't DJing off CD.
Right, okay.
And he just ignored it. He just didn't like it. He must have liked something like that. And this is quite ironic because I'd met Simon Marlin years ago when he was Moose T's tour manager. Okay. And he was now Shapeshifters. Yeah, so he was flying, and he was playing at Cream in Liverpool. Okay. He was playing for Murillo, right? Which is quite funny because he's playing at Godskitchen in Ibiza. And he played it last record, and the Liverpool went off, right? And Eric came over. What the fuck's this record? Like, what is this record? Sorry for swearing.
No, you're quite right.
And Simon went, "It's Jason Hurd," and he went, "He's not sent me this record. He's not." And we had sent it.
Ah, no, it slipped through the net.
Come back Monday morning. Why have you sent it me? I have sent it you. And then he was like, "And okay, right, let's get it done." So then he said, "We need a full vocal." To be honest with you, if he hadn't signed it, we were doing really well. It probably wouldn't have gone to the next level, And I've had, this is the thing about music. I tell all my clients who I mentor is you might make a record that is the biggest record, but sometimes it just doesn't go there. It was by chance that Simon was playing before him and played the last record, and if he hadn't, it may never have got signed. Right?
Yeah.
So I always, me and Simon still mates, and I always say to Simon, I'm very grateful to him for doing that. And it's same with my record on Defected. Simon Dunmore didn't want to sign it, and then he signed it, and it went to #1 for 4 or 5 weeks.
Amazing. I love those stories. G's got one as well. He found with Maro Picotto that I Feel Love. He was over in the studio, and he found it in the bin, and he just pulled it out, and they were, "Oh, we didn't really like this." He goes, "No, we can do something with this." And it went number 9 in the charts or something.
Oh, yeah.
I Feel Love on it's speed garagey trance.
Yeah, I remember.
You know the track, yeah? But I think Maro was about to dismiss it, but G was doing some work with him and kind of saved it, and look what happened.
Yeah.
It's still a big track now.
Yeah.
So you've released on Subliminal, Defected, Toolroom, Elro, Ministry. Is there any favorite label that you go onto, or is that pretty difficult to say?
There's no favorite label.
Yeah.
Obviously, being on Subliminal, playing at Pasha all them times, changed my life. Toured the world. Being a part of Subliminal and playing the gigs all over the world just got you the gigs all over the world. Do you know what I mean? And Defected, I loved back in the day when it was just house, when Simon was running it. It was like Subliminal and Defected. They were the 2 main labels.
They were, yeah, indeed, absolutely. I mean, and Pasha, they were just head to head, weren't they?
Yeah.
All times. I used to go to both of them.
But going back to just we never finish what we're saying. So basically, what happened is there's been bootlegs of our record for the last so many years, and never inspiring us. And then Hannah once did just an edit. Do you know what I mean? She was playing out and she was pushing. And then some garage kids did an edit, and somebody else did an edit, and it was just bubbling up again. But it wasn't. I don't like to say this, but people say it's a classic. It's been played forever. Do you know what I mean? It is a classic.
Yeah,
In its own genre, it's a classic.
of course.
I never wanted anyone to just remix that record unless they did it. We tried a million times, loads of remixes coming, and some of them were all right, but nothing was like that. And then Hannah did her mix, and it was virtually the same. Just beefed up the drums a little bit, cut it down for the era, and she just calls it her edit. She would quite happily say that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And John's like, oh, let's release it. And I'm like, don't know. And then there was another couple of remixes. Jacob did a great remix, and somebody else did a great remix. And it was like, Ministry come in and said, okay, we've got these mixes. They're really good. It's blowing up. Offered us a load of money. And we were like,
why not?
I'm not DJing anymore. Why not? I know Hannah once. She'd been on the phone. I actually liked the Jacob mix. Preferred that mix personally. But yeah, and then it blew up again last year, and it was like there's iconic videos of it being played Ushuaia and a plane going over at the same time, and hands in the it's just nuts. Listen, I'm very proud that I made that record. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't want to milk it unless it was right.
Yeah, it never goes away. Like sometimes I think a few of us, when they hear old really big classic trance or classic house tunes remixed and they just sound bad and they've been released, and you're just like, oh, I wish they just left that alone. And then they are milking it, you know, and we're seeing it a lot in techno at the moment when they're taking the samples over, and I'm quite happy to say that because they are milking a lot of the stuff because their audience doesn't even know that those samples come from trance half the time.
Well, this is the thing, right? So there's an argument here, right? And there's an argument that and I'm going to say this because I feel uninspired in house music a little bit, right? Not a lot, but there's some people who are doing great stuff. But is that generation haven't heard them records, so they're just bringing them up to date for that generation, whether we think they're bad or whether they think they're good. Right? The problem we've got today with music in all genres, right? Well, not all genres, but like in my house, vocal house, disco, techno, everything else, is you've got the swipe left, swipe right people. They don't want to put the hours in to make this music, right? And so all that everyone's trying to do is do a little bootleg here and there. And the problem you've got is this, and I'm going to refer to my situation, and I've spoken to many big artists about this, is I made a track with Barbara Tucker, okay, called Head Up High last year, very glitterbox. And loads of top DJs and glitterbox DJs were playing it, right? And there's two things that were really bad about this situation. And I'm not being bitter because I think my record was great or anything like that, but the reactions on the promo were unbelievable. Right. And every label besides Glitterbox wanted to sign it. And there's two problems here. One thing was that someone said, well, you've not got the right profile for Glitterbox, which means, your followings and your numbers and all that kind of stuff. You're not part of that thing. And that's okay. But if that's it's their label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if that's true, then that's part of the problem. Do you know what I mean? That's part of the problem. For me, a good record is a good fucking record.
Yeah.
If you've got 10 followers or 100,000 followers.
Yes, agreed.
And the second part of it is people don't want to put the time in to making, quality music, right? They'd rather just get a sample and put in, which is where house music came from. Do you know what I mean? But I feel that it's just the same old crap regurgitated a lot of time, which is why I didn't want to release our record. Do you know what I mean?
I totally understand.
Problem you've got is this. So let's just say I made that record with Barbara Tucker. All the top DJs were saying how good it was, right? Not just because, you get reaction sheets for your records. Some, oh, nice, great work. These were people putting time into the comments, when they've been mailed the record. And it was like, this is going to be massive, right? And the distributor and the promo company and everyone was going, this is amazing. And it went to number 12, okay, which you might think's okay, right? But every record above it was something I could make in 3 hours, 4 hours. And I'd heard almost every single one of them samples 1,000 times before. And it just uninspired me.
Frustrating, yeah?
Oh, it's terrible, and it's the same in all kinds of music. Do you know what I mean? Whereas kids can get a laptop now, not really know music, get a sample, put it in, and make it track, and that's okay. That's
quickly.
okay, right?
Yeah.
And that's a part of it, but it needs to be 20% of it, or 20% of it, right? Where it's regurgitated. 30% of it should be, I've not really heard that sample before or done in that way, or yeah, well done, you've been crate digging like we had to do back in the day. And then I think 50% of it should be new music. Well, the problem you've got with new music, you've got two problems, right? This is the argument people come up with, is people don't want to put in the time. It takes time to make that. It cost me to make, some live strings and bass and everything else, and or whatever genre it is. It's not the same. Disco is probably the most expensive because you've got all the live musicians. But it's so hard to get a great vocal nowadays. It's so, I struggle. Like after I finish with you, I've got a vocalist in, and she's a great singer, and she. Besides your Lisa Millets and your Julia McKnights, and there's a lot of people that are great songwriters that in the house music way. Do
You
you know
have
what I
that
mean?
musicality. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. And I know, I've always known a vocal that will move a dance floor because I came from the dance floor, and that was why I got up in the ranks as a DJ back in the day. Do you know what I mean? I felt it. I was one of the first people supporting Beanie and Martini and really getting, and people saying, "What's this record?" And I think and it's not just a producer's fault. This, right? It's also the vocalists put themselves out of reach. That it's really hard to write an original record, you know, and even the big names are doing it. They're just doing covers, and that's fair enough. But for me, I didn't get into music because I just wanted to make people dance. Yeah, I got into music because I wanted to dance to it. And I wanted to be inspired. And going back to the other conversation of, oh, what's this? Oh, this is great. Oh, this is different. Do you know what I mean? And I feel that today we've lost that, right? And I don't know if Funky House or Vocal House will ever come back round in the way that it has done, which is why I'm uninspired by it, you know. And there is some great tunes out there. There's a track by Basil de Suarez and D Unison, and Follamore plays a lot of original music that is like, oh, I've not heard that sample before. Oh, that's great. There's a Luke Leslie, that's amazing. There is people doing it, but there's just not enough of it because it's too easy for people to go and do the other thing, and not put the time in all genres, right? Which is why I have my Kabaza name. And there's people like, Life and Death Records and all that kind of, you can make whatever you want to make. Do you know what I mean? That's the genre that's inspiring nowadays. It's unlimited. It can be disco orientated. It can be, progressively orientated. It can be Afro orientated, but it's just a vibe that is just, yeah, this track's fucking great. It rocks a dance floor, and I've never heard it before. And I think we're lacking that. I think that's why things like Godskitchen's reunions and Babooshka reunions and my record coming back out are doing so well because there's very few tunes like Luca Alessi, 5 a.m. Like
mm,
where he sampled 3 different records, and it's just gone, this is rocking. Do you know what I mean? And it goes cross genres. Like I played it at 5 to 8 on Saturday, and then you're hearing it in like Damien Lazarus' parties. I heard it at day 0, and I was like in the jungle in
yeah.
Toulon.
Yeah.
Me and the missus went for a day
I'd
out.
love to go to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Best party I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I bet it
And I
is.
was like, oh, what is this? And then I was playing it in my house sets. There is people doing it.
Yeah.
It's just not on the disco vocal house side, or you know what I
I've
mean?
had this conversation, and tonight it goes live with Steve Mack. Do you know Steve Mack
Oh yeah,
from
yeah,
Bright? Of course, I knew you would. We had this conversation about the recent current music, where it's going, what's happening with it, kids just churning out the same old stuff, and musicality not being there anymore. And music being lost, a good record being lost in all the noise, and we've had this same conversation, and the podcast goes live tonight at 7 p.m. I'll send it over to you after. And I think you'll really, really identify with what Steve's got to say, because we talk about it for quite a while, because obviously he's been producing with everyone, and he's got a similar sort of thought process about where things are going. And yeah, you're right. Will it come back? Because it's so easy for people to now just whack out a tune, you know.
I was playing. I've just played at 528 in Ibiza, and I was playing the lovely Laura and Benson Tiago. You know, obviously saxophone and DJ, and they do play big tunes. You know, that's who they are.
Yep.
And they're great. They're brilliant. I've got to say, they're
Yep,
fantastic.
known them for years.
Yeah. And we'll probably get in the studio. I thought, oh, what am I going to play after them? Because I play a bit more groovier and driving, and all that kind of stuff. So I went away and I made a couple of bootlegs. And not bootlegs, but inspired. So like a Junior Jack Thrill Me bass line with a Lolita Holloway vocal, right? And I put a little post up. And I've had 3 labels come to me and want to sign it. Like big labels. And I'm like, no. I'm like thinking of pulling it. Like I've been saying, oh yeah, I thought, oh yeah, great label. And then I thought, no, I don't know if I can release it because I don't want to be playing them gigs. Do you know what I mean? I want to be playing music where I'm playing stuff I want to play some commercial stuff. I'm not knocking it all. I'm talking about me and how I feel. I want to be inspired when I play. I want to go somewhere and go, fucking this great. Listen, if I wanted to go and get an agent and DJ again as Jason Hurd, I would go out, I would make all these bootlegs and all these covers and do what now? And I'd be DJing all the time. But it's not what I do it for. And I'm not knocking anyone else who does it. Yeah. But I want to be inspired when I'm in the studio, when I'm making music, right? And when I'm DJing and playing other people's music. And there is a lot of that music around. Yeah. It's just not necessarily in house music. You know what I mean? I would say it's more possibly new disco, possibly like the Life and Death and the underground stuff. Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't have to be underground, you know. So it's like that Luca Lessie track I keep talking about because I played on Saturday and it went off. It's underground, but it's accessible.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what resonates with me a little bit. So yeah.
So you're also one half of Pirate Copy.
I was, yeah.
Okay, because I remember that because I lived in Manchester for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I remember starting in Manchester. Is it?
Lee Spence.
Lee Spence, yeah. From Sankey's.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I met Lee at Sankey's originally with Nick Yates.
Yeah.
And who they run Kaluki together.
Yeah.
And when I read the Pirate Copy as well, I was just like, no way, that's bizarre. Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, Lee and I had been friends for years, and my studio was in Sankey's for about 10, 15 years. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was your studio in Sankey's?
There was a few studios
Were there? I knew there was a studio. I didn't realize there was several.
Yeah. Right. Mine was in there. A guy called Mark Bradbury, I think.
Mark, yeah, I know Mark, yeah.
Gareth Emery was in there.
Okay.
I think there was a couple of drum and bass people, a couple of techno people. Yeah,
Mark's still got a studio a bit further down the road in Manchester now, hasn't he?
Yeah. I
forgot what it's called now, but he's got like a little academy. Yeah. I know Mark from a course we did together.
I was in there as well.
Yeah?
Sure, yeah. Awesome. So basically, he'd met Todd Terry and they wanted to make a record together. So we made it. I helped him make the record. Lee wasn't producing at the time. But like I wasn't when I started. He was going in with engineering. And he'd started this Pirate Copy thing off and it hadn't worked. And I said, well, listen, why don't we do it together? Because at that time, I loved tech house because my house had died. I was just doing a bit of engineering. I was watching Luciano, all that kind of stuff. And then we started doing it together. Yeah. And we had 3 records and I produced in the top 100, top 35 of tracks of the year on Beatport.
Because I'm pretty sure I saw a Pirate Copy over in Ibiza not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, well, Lee obviously is partners with Nick in Kaluki.
Yeah.
So Kaluki did 528.
Yeah.
And Nick obviously runs the
Paradise
for Paradise. So he's in there with that. And Lee's also used to work with Kat, who owns Discotheque, La Discotheque. So he was playing at the discotheque for them. It's all about networking, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when tech and electro kicked in, what impact did that have on your bookings and your
Killed me.
yeah?
Killed me.
What years are we talking there? That must be 2006, 7?
No.
Electro? No?
Oh, yeah. So we just had a hit record.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years
I remember the
later,
electro coming in.
boom,
Yeah.
fell off a cliff. And yeah, so I struggled. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I remember doing this remix for All Around the World and listening to it back. I was like, awful, like trying to do something I didn't know. I say to all my clients, you've got to feel the music.
Yeah.
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 It's okay looking at Beatport and copying records, but if you don't feel it, when you send that to a DJ who plays that music or an A&R, they're not going to feel it. Do you know what I mean? And that's a problem nowadays, where a lot of these people go, well, I've made this great record and it sounds just like, but nobody wants to play it. It's the feeling, right?
Yeah.
So I came from Soulful House. I loved tech house. I was watching Luciano and stuff like that. So I thought I'd go in the studio and make a record. Well, one of my engineers at the time, who was a mate of mine, was James Reynolds. And Youssef and I got in the studio and made a record, which we signed to Azulu, which was tech house. Yeah. So I started the tech house thing. And then Lisa Millett was a good friend of mine. So I went down to London and said, James, do you want to do a collab with Lisa Millett? Because I couldn't record vocals. So I asked James to record the vocals. And we did a record called One Kid. So I created this alter ego called One Kid, and Felix Baumgartner, which was James, and Lisa Millett. And that was a Now You're Gone, which was huge, right? So I had a couple of tech records done really well, but then this went straight to #1 for about 3 or 4 weeks. Everyone was playing it, from vocal house people to tech house people. And it's a classic in its own right. People like still playing it. You still hear it played quite a bit now and then. But it was techy, but it was dirty, and it had a vocal, it had soul. And I loved it. So I loved it. And then I got signed to Club Class, which was with Nick Fanciulli and all them guys, and the manager said to me, yeah, really, you want to be making it like what was called ETM, like, going the same way as Greta and the Swedes. So I went to America, and I started making EDM. And first record did really well, got to #20 in the Billboard charts. And I worked with Tom Starr on a couple because he knew that genre and he helped me a little bit. I was producing for other people, but just they felt that music better than me. I went to LA, went to Vegas, wrote a few songs. I was living with the Stafford brothers and Tommy Trash, and there was a few other people out there, as well from the industry. And I made a couple of tracks, and I started getting gigs. So I was like, oh, it's taking off again now. I had to do a DJ mix for Australia. So I toured Australia like 15 times or whatever it was. I toured there quite a bit. And I just went to do a DJ mix and thought, I fucking hate this music. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't feel it. I could make it. And the record that I made, I'd gone in the studio with Tom Starr. And somebody would be I've been DJing for Dolce & Gabbana, and some guy who had a massive chain of restaurants, Gino D'Acampo and all that kind of stuff, said to me, come working for us. And I just went, I think maybe my time's done. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't like it. So I went back, took this job. I still had my studio with Sankey's, and I was just making a bit of tech house and making stuff for other people. I started engineering. That's when the engineering really started. And I was working in this restaurant chain for Gino, and I was doing events and music and all that kind of stuff. It was a great wage, and I was still doing the gigs here and there and a little bit, but I was helping people like Spenny, like other people, which I enjoyed as well. People like Lauren Lo Sung and James Barlow Salado and all the people came through the studio, and yeah, it was the end of it for me.
The Music Academy, the Subtone Music Academy,
Yeah.
helping people.
Yeah.
And so when did you launch Subtone?
Okay, so what happened was during lockdown, Fader Pro, which is the biggest online tutorial.
Yeah, I know Fader Pro well. I followed them from the very start, by the way, when they first come out.
They approached me and said, will you do a course for us? So I wrote a course, and it was, how to make a funky house track. So it was It was, how to make a funky house track. So it was recording bass, recording vocals, recording track. It was a brilliant course. Like, it was different to all other courses. It wasn't just, I did this, I did that, I did this. I talked about how I did it, how to do it, and how to get your acoustics right in the room, set up a mic, and different. And I did it. And it was one of the best-selling courses they had. Like, even though they had Tiesto and everything else, it wasn't a big name as such to the modern kids. Because you got to, if it was 15, 20 years ago, yeah, it would have been.
Yes.
But I taught people something new. And then they said, oh, well, we're thinking about doing these one-to-ones on Zoom. Will you do them? So I started doing them. And like Vince, I met Vince when I was in America at that time. So the owner of Bora Pro. And I knew Stephen Lee, who's the other owner. And I met them when I was over there. So they said, will you do these videos? And then we do these one-to-ones. So we started doing one-to-ones, like 2-hour sessions. Did hundreds of them. And then they got bought out, and the work just, the budget started coming in. I just thought, I'll start doing my own thing. And then they stopped giving me work for a couple of months. So I was earning good wages from them. And I wasn't doing the restaurants. I packed that in just before lockdown. And I was doing engineering for people and mixing down for people and all that kind of stuff. And they were asking me to do it. And then I moved to Abersock because my missus was from Abersock before lockdown and during lockdown. But I still had the studio in Manchester. And it just gradually went from helping people doing it, taking a few other clients on, and learning what everybody wanted. Everyone's learned the same way. 90% of the people from online tutorials, but they've not learned the fundamentals. They've not learned how to feel and how to hear and how to think.
Yeah.
They've learned how to make a sound go whatever it is, but they're missing this massive point. And I created this 10-week course, one-to-one mentorship, where people are finishing records, and even like people that have released records are coming in with me, and I change it based upon what they know. And I've got a video course on my website. They watch the video course or they don't watch it, and then they come in and ask them questions, and straight away I get people finishing records.
What sort of software are they using?
80-90% Logic.
Yeah.
Ableton.
Yep.
Yeah, 10 to 15% Logic.
Okay. I learned on Logic when it first started. That was when I was at Etsy. I've tried it a little bit on Ableton, but that sounds fascinating. So you're teaching very beginners, or are you or intermediates, or what?
Yeah,
where do they come in at what stage?
Well, they can finish a record to a degree that they've got the arrangement there and put stuff in.
So they have an understanding, and you're making them better.
Yeah, they can't get it signed. And 90% of the time, what we do is, it's not just about production, right? It's about mindset, right? So 90% of the time, people are like that. They don't know where they're going. Only the minimal tech people, they know exactly where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to get them a roadmap because they're all over the place. The sound choices are all over the place. So the productions aren't quite right. So that vocal might be garage, and that that clap might be Afro house, and that kick drum might be techno. Do you know what I mean? And they're putting them all together and it's not working. Whereas the A&Rs from all these different sections going, that's a wrong kick, or that's everything else. And they just get a mix mash. So what I do is I create a roadmap with people, first of all. Okay. Where they want to play, the DJs they want playing the records, the labels they want to be on, and their DJ set. And we get
work backwards.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
exactly.
People. And the first thing I do is, so what I do is spend half the time on the syllabus, if they need it, and spend half the time mixing their track in Zoom, which is recorded. So they get a copy back.
Yeah.
And generally 90% of the time with that, what I do is I take all the plugins off and just change the faders, and the mixes are 20 times better, right? 20 times better. Because
they've overthought it?
No, it's because they've just watched this tutorial where, use OTT on this, use that on this.
Yeah,
put it on.
Opinions.
And it's just louder. And they think it's better, but it's not.
Right, okay.
So I have to strip people back. But it's different for different people. So some people, I have a couple of clients that are producing disco, and they're just like, too much saturation, putting too much in the mix. Do you know what I mean? So I'm generally stripping people back, yeah? And some people just don't have the room. I've got a great room, so I can mix down really well. And that's it. And some people are just too good that I have to go, like, I'm working on a track now, and it's like, No, it has to be raw, so it needs to be a bit dirty, but the kit still needs to punch through, but it's too clean. They've come too clean, and I stick a couple of loops in, and I change the open hat to a bit of a dirty, slushy hat, and I change the clap to be a bit dirty and a bit like more lo-fi, and straight away the vibe fits. Everybody's different.
Because they've got access to so much information now, haven't they? So much information, and they're like sponges from YouTube. All these people are doing things their own way all the time. And as I said, there's so much music being produced, but I suppose that's obviously affecting the way people are producing as well. So they're like overproducing. Is that what? And you're stripping the bad habits back.
Yeah. They're just putting on because they've seen somebody say in a video, this is good on bass or that's good on kick. When really, your mix should be 90% there with nothing on it at all.
What's the biggest mistake you're seeing with new producers? Is that what it is? That's it. Okay.
Plugins on. So basically, something I teach people is to level match perceived volume, right? So, and I teach people how to ask a certain questions. So level match, and I'll say like the prime candidate in tech house is OTT. This plugin called OTT, which is a multi-band compressor. And it really brings through the mid-range. So they put it on loads of stuff, right? And they come in, and then what I do is I go, okay, what's this doing? And I said to them what they're doing, and I level match it. I say, okay, what's it doing to it now, right? At the same volume. What's it doing to the bass? What's it doing to the mid? What's it doing to the top? What's it doing to the transient? Yeah, there's no bass in it. Yeah, you've killed the sound. You've taken the body out of the sound. Yeah,
I suppose you're training their ear as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly what you've got to do.
Yeah.
If you don't know frequency and character recognition, don't use any plugins. You can't use the right sounds. You can't use the plugins.
This is what Steve was saying. He understands. He does a lot of the A/B testing between software and hardware, and they'll come to him, the hardware, the soft synth companies, and he'll go, "It's okay, but the hardware is." Because I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
He would always say that, no matter what.
But he still mixes down on tape and everything, and it was a fascinating chat with him. I've been to the bunker down in Brighton, and I've seen his crazy collection. He still uses all of it, So
I've been meaning to book a session in with a couple of days to him. I spoke to him a couple of years ago.
Such a lovely guy as well.
Yeah, I think he's doing good again now, isn't he?
Yeah, and the Rhythm Masters, and I see him all over the place. But he's working with everyone. Yeah. So, but yet again, we had this conversation about people understanding frequency and the ear, whereas that might be missing nowadays. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is there's a lot of kids who've got the passion. And they give up because they don't get it. And that's what I do. I bring the passion back out in them, but I give them a direction. A lot of kids don't have a direction, and it's like they think the track sounds good, and they be their mix to a mix that's on Hot Creations, for example.
Yeah.
They think that their mix sounds the same, and it doesn't.
Do you find there's lack of consistency as well? They want to get there faster, and you have to drill consistency into them, because it doesn't take one track. It might do if you're very lucky, but it takes time to get where you're going on this journey. And
it does. But if you go in the studio with someone like me or Steve Mack, or there's a lot of great engineers out there, like Jay Burt does a lot. No Star, who I went in with, Easer's doing a lot with Defected. Nick from Defected, he does a lot. There's lots of great engineers. There's nothing wrong going in with an engineer, because that's how we learn. I mean? Basically, when people come with me, even though I'm mentoring, I'm an engineer, but I'm teaching them at the same time. There's lots of great people who do that kind of music. Iglesias, you've got to learn by people better than you.
For people listening and watching this, what is the definition of a sound engineer in a studio? So if a DJ wanted to make a track, and they didn't understand how to use software in a studio, they would actually ideally have a sound engineer with them. Is that correct?
Yes. So basically, this is what I did for an act, because I wasn't musical, right? So I'd go in with a load of vinyl, okay, and I'd go, right, I love the drums on this record, right, like this, right? They do the drums. I go, no, I want it to go like this. It was all in my head, right? And I love the bass off this, but I want it to go dun 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 dun. The piano on this, or the vocal on this, or the blah, 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 and so on and so on and so on. And so what you're doing, you've got things in your head, right? And if you give them references and I'm out of your mouth. It comes from you.
But they've got the technical ability
to do it. Okay.
Right.
So for me, if I lived in, if I was DJing now, I would go in the studio with certain people just to get their skills off them. That's how I learned. I learned off loads of different people. I learned off K-Boy, learned from people in London. Thingy from Body Rock, Dylan from Body Rockers, he was my engineer. Kate and other engineers that I worked with, and learned from all of them. You know, I didn't have that at the time. Do you know what I mean? But I would still, like now, if I had plenty of money and I could throw it at it, I would like, oh, I'll go with Steve for a couple of 3 days, and just it's about everybody's. You give 10 people the same record, they'll mix it 10 different ways, even mastering engineers, and we've all learned in different ways besides the ones who went to university. So, you know, people have used different plugins. Like I've never used an MPC, a 909, but I've used the Akai sampler and the SP1200. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different ways and different styles, different things.
Steve says he tries to squeeze that last 20% out of it. So similar to what you were saying before, you know, that's what people come to him for, just to get that last 20%. And obviously the equipment helps. And his extreme knowledge helps as well.
Just to tell you about that, you know, the problem you got is some people come in the studio and they go, oh, they're too scared of saying stuff. Like the amount of times engineers said to me, you can't do that. It doesn't work. There's cross rhythms or it's out of tune or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You've got to know what you want, and you've got to be forward about it, and you've got to listen to the engineer and carve it to work with them. That's what working with an engineer is about. From scratch. Obviously, Steve, what Steve's talking about is someone's made stuff on a computer, they've gone in there to get that analog sound and that feel, and he's giving that extra 20%.
Yeah, I mean, what I was about to say then, I forgot, was I've got a lot of friends who are DJs who produce a lot of music and they're very, very experienced, and they're still using engineers. And sometimes when I first heard that, I was like, you still use an engineer and you've made all these tracks, and just like, it surprised me. But then they would turn to me and go, yeah, but these guys are brilliant. You know, they're absolutely insanely good, and they're so much better than me, you know, and that's just how it is.
Exactly. You know, you see videos where Mark Knight and Michael Gray might get some ideas down in their studio, but they go and use James Hurr. He's doing loads of people's records nowadays.
Yeah, that's the genius. They're the genius behind it.
Yeah, I mean, like most DJs, most people you know who made it big use engineers.
Of course.
And to be honest with you, if I was DJing and I was going down that, I am DJing. I keep saying I'm not DJing. I am DJing.
You are really.
I'm not with an agency. I let people come to me. Do you know what I mean? But
you're independent. You're independent.
Yeah. If I was DJing and I was and I wanted to do it again, I would. Even me now, I make records for loads of. I do that for other people. As an artist, I would probably book in a few days with James Hurr. Right, see how he works, get a vibe, see what's going on now. And the other thing is this: when I'm stood behind, like I dance to my music and listen to it. When I'm in front of a computer, I'm worrying about, you know, loads of questions going through my head, from controlling the screen to using Ableton or Logic to using the mouse to other things going on. And when I'm stood behind, I've got a vibe going to bed. I'm feeling it like I'm on the dance floor. And for me, I would go back and do if things took off for me again, that's what I would do. I would still go and use other people, you know.
Yeah, that's the frustrations that I had when I was learning. It was all like I couldn't get it to work, and I couldn't get that sound from my head into the computer, and then my time had finished, and I was just so frustrated by it all. But what you're saying is that you're removing those frustrations, and you're getting yourself, because what I've noticed throughout this whole podcast is your passion for music. It absolutely bounds through the screen, and more than most, to be honest, that I speak to, which says a lot. So yeah, I can see that you just want to get on with the creative part, and you'd leave that technical part and the flapping around to someone who really loves doing that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Because I know I wouldn't like doing all that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Ibiza. Because obviously we've got Godskitchen coming up. Do you remember your first gig in Ibiza?
It might have been for Godskitchen, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah, it probably was, to be quite honest with you. But it was either Godskitchen or...
Subliminal
Godskitchen. Yeah.
Because they come on later. No, Defected was around then, wasn't it?
I might have played a Bora Bora for Oliver might let me play it, but no. No. Yeah, it was definitely Godskitchen.
On the terrace.
Yeah.
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 And what does Godskitchen mean? It coming back to you, you going back to Amnesia this year and playing for.
Well, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
there's some faces going.
yeah, yeah. And I didn't go to Godskitchen. I played there a couple of times, but I didn't go there because it wasn't my music. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But I became friends, and like I'm looking forward to seeing Fergie. I'm looking forward to seeing AJ. I'm looking forward to seeing Shapeshifters. You know, I hope they get Tyrone and Chris out. It would be nice to see them there.
They were there at the Birmingham gig, so hopefully they'll be over. We might be surprised, but I was speaking to Paul Thomas the other day, who was another one of the residents, and he's been speaking to loads of the old people from Godskitchen, and he said they're all coming. So I think we're in for a good.
Tyrone's not called me. I mean, I'm still very pally with Paul Rice. So Paul Rice was the designer, but now he works for Mark Gillespie.
Yes, of course, I know Paul.
Oh, I'm still good friends with Paul. I live in Abersock in Wales. He's got a place here, so we go out all the time. It's the nostalgia of seeing people again, isn't it? It's a reunion, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the one in Birmingham was great. It was just so cold. It was just freezing. Did you go to the one in Birmingham?
No.
It was, I think it went down to about -7 or something. And it was so cold, Jason, that the CO2 cannons froze. And we had CO2 cannons all the way down the side of the arena. And they went off once, and that was it. They failed, and it was just everyone was still wearing their coats, and it was in this big crane industrial warehouse. Really great. It was sold out in 6 weeks, and yeah, it was just a bit too cold.
They've sold loads of tickets for Ibiza, so it's going to be the opposite.
Yeah, I know it's going to be crazy. It's a really good week. I don't know whether you've ever been out over the last few years, because we do the Kevin and Perry Amnesia event, which is absolutely crazy. It is literally like you've walked back into the 1990s, because it's all of the older lot, and there's thousands of them, no phones, all dressed up like Kevin and Perry, and they're just going crazy. Absolutely. Even the bar staff saying it's one of the best nights they have of the whole summer. But Godskitchen is just a few days later. So what we're going to be having is that lot, and they're going to be staying for Godskitchen as well. And in the middle of that, there's Shine at 5 to 8, and Paul Van Dyke has got his thing as well. So that week there's going to be like a real hardcore few thousand people over.
Wicked.
Yeah, all in like late 30s, 40s, ready to really let go.
50s.
Yeah. 50s. I'm almost there.
50s and 60s.
Well, I was saying this to somebody the other day. We've had people in their 70s go to Kevin and Perry, and they brought like their grandchildren, everything's sons. It's a really fantastic week, and we're finding that a lot of the old people are coming over from years who used to work there, and it's just it's different. It's a different part of the season where it's less serious, no phones. It's a bit more authentic and raw. Do you think Ibiza? Do you go to Ibiza a lot still now?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at moving there. To be honest, we went out in February. Yeah.
Okay, I used to live there, obviously, and I would do anything to move back, but I just couldn't do it, just because there's too many distractions there for me. The alcohol and the party life, and I don't drink or do all that anymore. And when I lived there, I was just crazy. I was a wild man, and this was a long time ago now, but I lived there for 10 years, and I don't think I would risk putting myself through it again.
I think Ibiza's fantastic at the moment.
Mm.
I think it's pricey, right?
Very.
I left a comment this morning on social media, which I should have done. I'm asking for people to attack me, but they just had Travis Scott. Hi.
Anima, yeah.
Not one positive comment on it.
Not one. I've read the post.
But I know people who went, and they said it was brilliant.
I bet it was. I know the guys at Universe, and they... Yeah.
Listen, it's a great... Everyone I know who's been to Universe, right, has said it's the best club they've ever been to.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't like that kind of stuff, right, and you're not into it, people say, "Oh, Ibiza's dying, Ibiza's this, Ibiza's that." It is too expensive, right? That's for sure, right? But you've got clubs like when I was out there, I also played at 528. Amazing. That's a Ibiza vibe. Coke Santa was unreal,
Yeah.
right? You've then got clubs like Amnesia.
Yeah.
You know, Pasha, for me, Pasha High and Universe have gone a bit too discotheque for
Mm.
me. I don't want to go to Ibiza and feel like I'm in a nightclub in the UK or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not like that. But you know what I'm saying? Don't mean
Of
polished.
course.
I personally prefer the more organic raw clubs like
Like Amnesia.
and the Terrace at Amnesia, which is why I can't wait to play
Yeah,
there.
it's my favorite club. Always has been.
Yeah,
Besides when Space was Space, that was my favorite club, and Amnesia are pretty much on par with each other. But these new, and do you know what? I loved Privilege, the old ramshackle falling down, getting yourself electrocuted in the rain. Because I used to work there on emissions. I used to love that place. The toilet stunk, but
the only thing I didn't like about Manumission, and we had some great nights in there,
yeah,
was the sound system was
it
terrible.
was, wasn't it? Yeah.
So we had to stand in like if you wanted to find me, I was stood in front of the speakers every single time.
Is that before I know the last few years, they just rammed it full of Function One but then they were having loads of problems with the neighbours
Yeah.
and stuff. But that was a lot of the problem as well. They were having a lot of noise complaints, I believe. And I think now Universe been positioned and opened, and they've got a relationship with their neighbours where it's more soundproof.
Yes.
Which it has to be, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did you go to Universe while you were over?
No, I didn't.
No,
I do want to go.
I'm going to pop in for sure.
Yeah. Rob Anderson from Pioneer went. He said it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like it might not be your style thing, right? And that's okay. He said, but you've got to go. He said you enjoyed it. Thought it was fine. They let all the workers in for free, which I think is a very good thing. And he said it was amazing. It was a club. It was a different experience. Yeah, it's not that Ibiza vibe that I prefer, but I'd like to go. And I went to High. Somebody I used to work with, Andy Phillips, who used to call Bontown. He was playing.
yeah, yeah.
He was playing at High with Capriati. I was sat next to him on the plane. And I was like, so we went there with him, and that's the same vibe, And I had a great night in there, right?
Yeah.
But I would rather have been listening to him and Capriati in I've been an old, maybe I'm just old, in somewhere that was a bit more open air and
A bit more stripped back.
like you said, I can't beat the Space Terrace or Amnesia Terrace.
The thing is that with the tech now, that they're just trying to push the boundaries so hard on the tech and the production and the show and they can do it now. The technology has advanced so fast, so quickly over the last 10 years that it just looks, if you compare say Tomorrowland, for example, from now into 10 years ago, it's unrecognizable. And it's incredible how quickly things have changed.
And that's right. I think that's right for I think it's different for different genres. Do you know what I mean? A lot of companies have gone very Americanized in Vegas, and it has. But if you don't want to go to that, then don't go to it. There's loads of other things. I really enjoyed being at High on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed going there before, and I'm quite sure I'll enjoy Universe. But if someone said to me Travis Scott is on with Anima, I would never go because it's not my thing. But I would never slag it off. I would never say, "Oh, this is shit. You're killing Ibiza." I would just say it's not for me. And there's other parts of Ibiza and other nights at Universe that are Ibiza for me.
Yeah, I mean, Ibiza's a really easy target for keyboard warriors,
Yes.
and it's really horrendous because I know a lot of the guys who do the digital marketing for some of these said clubs.
Yeah.
And you know what? It must be really hard for them because they're putting all this effort in for 6 months of the year, 9 months of the year, whatever. They're putting on an event that's world class, and it's just riddled with people slagging off who haven't been or won't go, and that's a real shame. And I know with my own events that if I get like a thread where someone's not happy with something that starts kicking off, it really gets to me. So it must really get to them as well.
I don't know. I think that, like Adam, so who does the marketing for them.
Yeah.
But I think that they just go, once you go to the event and you see how people are enjoying the event, and if you were at Universe with Travis Scott and you were there and you enjoyed it and everyone else was enjoying it, right? Then It doesn't fucking matter what people say on the internet.
I mean, can you imagine if you're an 18-year-old and you went to Anima, Travis Scott was playing, and you're in Universe, first time in Ibiza? You remember it forever, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who Travis Scott is, to be honest with you.
I only know him because of that Netflix documentary called Trainwreck that's on at the moment. I didn't even know who he was. He's a rapper. Yeah. I actually hadn't really heard. I'm not that into that world, that musical world at all. But there's a documentary on Netflix about an accident that happened at one of his concerts when they overpopulated a certain area and a couple of people died and stuff. And it's called Trainwreck. And then I saw he was playing at Anima, because he has like, he's a strange rapper where they have like mosh pits for him and everything. It's really weird. It's a different type of,
You see, my thought process on this is like, to be brutal, is like the last thing I want to hear, right? But if Anima and Travis Scott create a new style of music, which is a cross between their musics, and it blows up, I respect it. And I would, I'd respect it, right? And I would probably think, brilliant. Anything that's different is good for the scene, as long as it's done in a quality kind of way. But I would never like it, because I'm not a big, I'm a 90s rap person.
You know what you like. I
Yeah.
can sense that. Yeah.
But I won't slag off anyone else. Like, I think people are just using the same vocals and the same loops and everything else in my music, disco and all that kind of stuff that's been done time and time again. And it's generally not necessarily better than the original one. But I won't slag it off. It's just not for me. I didn't get into music to just DJ. I got into music because I was inspired by it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's come across in this interview, your love and passion for music. What's next for you? Anything in the pipeline?
Well, so the Subtones launching, my website, doing one-to-ones. Musically, I'm at a bit of a crossroads. So I love playing. I love playing to my mates. I love playing a bit of disco and stuff like that. And there's a few tracks I'm inspired by. I'm uninspired by house. Like, when I say uninspired, I'm not saying that I don't like what's out there. But for me, I'm at a position where I'm in the studio. I want to create things. I want something new. And it's like I said to you before, I made that thing with the Junior Jack bass line and a Lolita Holloway vocal. I could do that all day long. Do you know what I mean? And I'd made it and I thought, this is terrible. And everyone's going, oh my God, this is amazing. And it went off in the club. It's not what I do it for. So for me personally, I'm looking into something which is a bit more inspiring that I could play, which is underground. I'm just going to keep making that kind of stuff.
So until you find it.
Yeah. But I have got a vibe that I know I want to go to. So there's some records out. There's one by D Unison, which is a really cool record with a sample. Still got a sample. Never heard it before. Done it in a way. And there's a couple of records that played on that are really, really good. And then I like the Luke Alessi type stuff. And I like it. I've got an alias called Cabaza, which is a little bit more organic and club orientated and driving. And when I went to Day Zero Festival, they played all different kinds of music. Just none of it was dead commercial. Do you know what I mean? And that inspired me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about giving up Jason Hurd.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying give it up. Just make something, a classic piece of rap music that I like every now and then, but just really getting my teeth into something that's a little bit
You're
more.
Really a crossroads, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you into a little secret. I am as well, because I've been promoting events since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. My dad was involved with the early rave scene, promoting, and events nowadays are so hard to put on unless you're a corporate, and so risky since COVID. And sometimes, especially like the last couple of years, the stress has taken the enjoyment away. And when I used to do events in Ibiza, my partner always used to have a pop at me because I really couldn't give a shit about making money. I just wanted to make the best party possible for everyone who was there. And now I just see in the event industry, there's so many barriers and there's so many hurdles and there's so many obstacles. The costs are so high for such little reward. And, it makes me wonder whether I'm still going in the right direction. But I imagine you might identify with this. It's in my blood. Yeah. And I can't get rid of that. and I know I'll be back doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel the same way about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's the
You
what I
can't
said to you
shake it.
no, it's like I said to you before, I could easily go and get an agent and be playing at places which are really good, like Ocean Beach, and playing all these different places like that. And I'm not knocking it at all. I'm not knocking it at all. It just doesn't inspire me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally get you. I totally get you. I mean, to invest the amount of time and effort we put into events nowadays and to have so many obstacles, it's uninspiring. Where I used to be inspired, I'm inspired with things like God's Kitchen. I'm inspired by things like Kevin and Perry One More Time. But then it's like crisis management all the time. And I'm really feeling that. And I'm like, am I getting too old?
I mean, I've thrown events for years and I've got my own festival, and it's so hard.
Oh,
So hard
sleepless
nowadays.
nights, you know. And
I mean, it's oversaturated. The cost of everything is ridiculous, and people don't have the money.
yeah, and they go to less events now, you know.
In UK.
Yeah, because they're just people who don't want to go to the same place every week. Not Instagrammable or TikTokable, or whatever it's called. And they want to go to these big festivals and Ibizas and be seen there, you know.
I turned down more gigs than what I could do. Last year we did Herd of Fits and we played at Amnesia and we played at Ocean Beach, which they were both brilliant.
I went to Ocean Beach last year and I loved it.
But the thing is, for me, is I enjoyed it and it was great and the crowd were fantastic, and I'm not a snob, but I was just the music I was playing didn't inspire me, and the Herd of Fits didn't inspire me. Do you know what I mean? It was like in them days when there was so many great new records coming out, it inspired me. I love it. It comes from my heart.
Progression, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's progression.
And what inspires me now is just something that's different, but still got the energy and drive in. Do you know what I mean? And it might be a bit more underground. It might be, but it might be underground with a bit of vocal. And that was the great thing about playing at Day Zero. You could play a bit of everything else, everything like that. Do you know what I mean?
You'll know it when you'll find it, when you hear it in.
Well, I think I'm almost there.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Last question might be a difficult one. Would you have a one more tune to close the night? Could you possibly pick one out after 30 years? Some can do it, some can't.
I mean, I still love playing Wham! Club Tropicana.
There we go. No,
but no, it's not that one. I won't play that. Right on.
Right on. Right. Okay.
How did I forget that?
Do you know what? I've actually been really, really impressed with your with your memory of tracks throughout this entire podcast, and then the final question you don't get. It's just typical. But
I love that record.
Why would you play it?
And it's timeless.
Timeless. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jason, this has been a really, really good chat. I get you on so many levels, and as I said before, your passion for music has really, really surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me, but it's just like you've been different than a lot of the other artists that I've spoken to. Also, because you're not just giving into popularity, and you're very set on doing your own thing that inspires you, and not just following the crowd.
I have done in the past, like when.
Of course, I think we all have.
And I make my money from mentoring people. So
yeah,
I'm at a choice now where I'm making music for me, but like it's my balance was like I want to make music that I want to make. I might keep Jason Hurd going and keep doing stuff like that every now and then because sometimes you just have a feeling for it. But I'm going to start doing my Cabaza stuff again, which is going to be just a little bit more underground and stuff like Right On, and that Luke Alessi track, and the more from disco to underground. We compartmentalize too many things in the UK when it comes to music. Like you can only play this and you can only play that. And people are playing classics everywhere, you know, from Musicon to PIV to everything else. So
this is why we're often asked, myself and Nick, why don't we do stuff back in the UK? Obviously we've done Gods, and it's just like I wouldn't go back to the UK to do anything there because it's just saturated with classics events. I think it's oversaturated. Leave them to it. You know, we've got what we do in Ibiza. We don't know where Godskitchen will take us. Obviously, that's a conversation that will be had after September. But I shall see you in Amnesia on the 27th. And yeah, it should be a fascinating night with a lot of very familiar faces.
I can't wait. Is Tom Paul playing?
Yes. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he plays for. Oh, sorry, my headphones just fell out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, my headphones. But yes, he is. Sorry, I got a bit confused then because he also plays for us at Kevin and Perry, but he's
Yeah.
not playing at Kevin and Perry this year. He's doing God's Kitchen. How many days are you over for?
I've not booked it.
You haven't booked it. You should try and get over for the Kevin and Perry party as well. It is absolutely nuts. And then you've got
Yeah.
Shine on the Wednesday at 5 to 8 with huge trancey John W. Fleming and all that lot of playing. And they're throwing everything at that. And then a couple of days later, we've got God's Kitchen. So
Amazing. I will do.
yeah, I'll send you over what we've got on that week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
I've really, really enjoyed it. It's been a fascinating conversation, and you've come, as I said, your enthusiasm for music has been quite inspiring for me actually, because and you come into that crossroads because I'm kind of looking for that next thing at the moment as well, and I know it when I find it, but I feel like I'm just right in the middle of nowhere at the moment. Do you know?
Where are you now?
I live in Croatia. I came here when Ibiza started banning the morning parties in 2007, 8. We were doing a lot of morning parties through 5, 6, 7, and then it completely got banned. We did another year or two in the evenings. Then the VIP hit, Ibiza really started hitting. I was like, this isn't for me. And I was sitting in Kanya, you remember Kanya, or next to coastline one day, and my friend Peter come in and he said, "Have you seen this place? It's called Zrća Beach in Croatia." And I started sending a few emails to these owners of these crazy open air clubs, contacted one of them, and within a couple of years I was over there doing some events with them, and then I met a girl, and then had a little boy, and ended up staying here. Luckily, because I was hitting it a bit too hard in Ibiza at the time because it wasn't going. The last 2 years we were doing so well with the morning events, but then we had to take a morning event and go into the evenings up against the Carl Coxes, the Tiestos, the Swedes. Just didn't work. And we got killed. And I kind of like, I softened the blow with probably alcohol, and just partying. And I think I left at the right time. But I've continued over here sober. And now I just do a lot of consultation with artists regarding their socials and digital marketing and stuff like that. And our event stuff. Yeah. Anyway, Jason, I've had you for well over an hour and a half. It's been a great chat. Thank you so much. So yeah, I will see you in Ibiza.